Alright, well, when we last left Bobbin, we were sort of just stranded in the middle of the ocean. Now, really, what I want to do at this point is just kind of continue on, and um, hopefully we can actually get through the majority of this. Now, of course, we're still learning songs and learning music, so we're going to head over to this twister. Give it a tap.
I think that's close enough.
So we just learned a song that allows us to twist things, but really we want to untwist, so we play it in reverse. One can only hope that these seagulls at some point actually try to make their way to shore, which we will do now. Minor correction on my last Let's Play. Let's go through this really quickly. In my last Let's Play, I referred to Swan Lake as an opera, when it's actually a ballet. One whose theme song is woven into the game here. But at any rate, we've left the Loom Island, and now we actually get to see the rest of the wide world that Bobbin inhabits. Sort of see the Emerald City here. I'm not even sure where he's going.
What's going on up there?
Well, he doesn't even know what he's doing. So we'll head back. Oh, let's do a little investigating. So you can sort of see what this culture is about. Has sort of buildings made of glass, and even this area, which seems to be a cemetery, all of this made out of glass.
Welcome to Crystal Guards, stranger. I'm Master Goodmode, 31st in the Noble Guild of Glassmakers. And who might you be?
My name is Bobbin. Bobbin Threadbare of the, Noble Guild of Weavers.
A weaver! Tell me, is it true that to peer beneath a weaver's hood brings instant agonizing death?
I honestly don't know. Nobody's ever tried it with me. You have such a wonderful view of the sky here. Have you noticed a flock of swans flying this way?
Swans?
Swans. You know, birds.
Yes, swans! No, I haven't heard of any swan sightings. Look around to your heart's content, Weaver Threadbare. And remember, if you break it, you buy it.
Alright. Well, that's one of the more interesting characters that you get to encounter.
Soft Shard, wife of loosened bottle blow, here attain final clarity.
Sort of, I've been wondering what happens if you try the open song on a tomb.
I don't think I'll try that one again.
Oh, well, that's something like dark magic. It's almost like necromancy. Well, there's an entire area up here that we can explore, but before we do that, let's make our way back. I do really like the design of the city. I'm not sure what these are, but everything else looks really pretty, actually. even from a distance. But so now we're beginning to see what the story means by Age of the Great Guilds. We have the Weaving Guild. We have these Glassmakers Guild. Now we're about to meet a third guild right over the hill.
Halt! Who goes? Well. Looks like a scrawny runt trying to sneak into our flocks.
Sneak? You call that sneaking? I heard them coming all the way in from town.
Thought you were going to fleece some shepherds, did you? Maybe we ought to take the shears to you instead.
Listen, I mean, I'm not looking for sheep or trouble. I'm looking for a flock of swans.
Swans?
Swans! You know, birds.
Oh, swans! Of course.
We should have known. Everybody comes here when they want swans.
Next you'll be telling us you're some sort of wizard off to fly away with them birdies.
Right.
Wizard? Wizard? You wouldn't happen to be the great wizard that Fleece was telling us about, would you know?
Fleece?
He is sort of dressed like a wizard.
I don't know. He doesn't look very powerful to me.
Me neither. I say we don't let him by until we know for sure. Come on then, wizard. Let's see some magic. Or else...
Actually, we don't have any spells that we can use on them yet. You can try to,
I sure wish I knew a draft that would work on shepherds.
you can try to make them invisible using the song that you heard when they first arrived.
There's nobody better at stealth than us shepherds.
Aye, and you'll have to do better than that to get past us.
So since it doesn't work, we'll just continue on.
Come on, lads. He's had enough. Let him go.
Some kind of wizard, eh?
Don't trip on your robe, little wizard.
Get on, you lazy bunch of yous. Back to work.
And that sets us on a path back down to the Emerald City, since we can't continue without the shepherds getting in the way. Now, we're about to get to a point where we're actually going to start collecting songs really rapidly. Now, we're not going to be able to use them all. We don't have the skill yet. We will get there, of course. But for now, just going to do a little bit of exploring.
Huh. A glass bell. I wonder what will happen if... I'm dizzy.
Actually, it makes you think just how advanced these guilds must be to have teleporters.
That's beautiful. I've never seen anything sparkle like that. Not even the long tapestry. What kind of glass is it?
It was carved from a single crystal of diamond.
But I thought you were glassmakers.
No, we are. Dear boy, this is none other than the famous Chromax conundrum, wrought by our distinguished founder, Lucent Bottleblow. His works once filled an entire museum, you know. And that was before the great dragon arrived in 7342. She blew through this city like a torch, melting and breaking our finest works, plundering our museums and treasuries until we had almost nothing left. It was awful, just terrible, really a miserable time. Even Bottleblow's greatest masterpiece, the first scrying sphere, was lost forever.
But you still have the conundrum.
And a lucky thing, too. It was on loan to the Guild of Vintners at the time. It is the sole remaining example of our founder's transcendent genius.
But I'm still curious. Why is it diamond instead of glass?
We've no idea. No idea at all. That's the conundrum, you see.
I wonder where that dragon went with Bottleblow's other treasures.
Actually, wonder what happens if we try to fill this cup. Oh, it works.
I wonder where that dragon went.
That's
with
nice. Doesn't
Bottleblow's
really
other
do anything.
treasures.
And in fact, there's no real point to that conversation either. It's just to fill you in a little bit on what's been happening in the world of Loom outside of the main quest that you're on. Gives you some details about what's happened to the Glass Guild here and what's happened to their city, the treasures that were stolen, and it also informs you of course, the dragon. But really, this is where the plot of the game starts to really come alive.
I can barely hear what they're saying.
I trust your excellency is pleased with our progress?
That all depends on how far this sphere can help me see.
4 hours, most assuredly. Perhaps 6, with a bit of luck.
Only 6 hours? But I expressly requested 8.
Every sphere is unique, Bishop. It is impossible to accurately predict how well this sphere will perform.
I need at least 8 hours. 8 hours, Master Crucible. See to it.
So just right there, you're actually getting your first glimpse at what the plot is actually going to develop into. Now you're starting to see the first hints of an antagonist, a plot outside of the one we've been on, which is to find the geese, or the swans.
Look! Who are you, lad?
And just what do you think you're doing up here?
I'm not sure. I just rang the bell and
Well, I'm sorry, but you're not supposed to be here.
Step back under the lens, please.
This is a restricted area. No visitors allowed.
Good day, sir.
I guess I'm not supposed to go up there.
Well, when there's a 12-foot scythe, I would agree that, yes, it's probably not the best area to just go wandering in, but we do have to get through there, and so you can see them working up at the top. Now, we did learn that spell for invisibility, so we are going to try to cast that now.
I wonder, did it work? Only one way to find out.
So with the spell cast, we're actually going to go back and attempt to see if the spell has worked. I really don't see how casting invisibility on them would help you, but apparently this is what happens. If it turns out. There we go.
Our esteemed Bishop Mandible cuts quite a figure, doesn't he?
I don't doubt the Crucible's getting tired of bowing and scraping to him. Why would the clerics want a scrying sphere anyway? I thought they didn't believe in the future.
Yeah, your guess is as lucid as mine, Flute. But Crucible appears to think that they're up to no good again.
Then why would he do business with them at all? let alone sell them a sphere.
Well, you know, Crucible, he'd sell his own mother's spectacles if he thought there was a profit in it. And the clerics are paying off in cash.
Which should keep us in the clear for years to come. Still, I'm certainly pleased that Crucible's not taking any chances. This scythe might become very useful if our friend the bishop has been less than transparent with us.
Ouch!
Yes, very useful indeed.
Alright, so we've actually now received a bit more information about what's been going on with the cleric we saw downstairs earlier.
That scythe is even sharper than a weaver's spindle.
So we have the sharpening spell now. We're going to continue on. And find ourselves at this sphere, which earlier we were able to hear that it actually allows you to look into the future. So if we take the time to look in it, we actually can see events that haven't happened, but will happen in the game. So see, just by looking into your own future, you can actually see what spell you're supposed to use to overcome the shepherds. But you can also see a few other things. You can see, well, this, which I'm fairly sure I know what that is, but it's a little unfamiliar. Now that's actually probably a little bit more important than you might assume, because while the songs change every time you play the game again, so the sharpening song could be F, G, E, D one game, and then it could be C, D, G, F another game. The song that you hear the swan sing is always the same song. It never changes notes, and that's because it's the most important song in the game. Not just in terms of what it does for you as a gameplay mechanic, but because of what it represents to the story. So the song is always, it always remains the same each time that you play, unlike the rest of the songs. Alright, we just had a momentary break. Sort of had a technical difficulty. Don't think that it will affect your viewing of this much. We're going to go ahead and continue on though. Anyway, now we have a few new songs in our repertoire, and we're going to head on back, especially now that we've heard the song that the shepherds need to hear in order to frighten them off. And actually, really, one thing to appreciate about these old games, and maybe we don't do it enough, we take realistic graphics for granted, but just art direction and what artists had to do just to catch your attention before we had all these cutting-edge graphics cards and things like that. But just looking at these mountains, like it's almost like staring at a painting.
He's back.
So are we.
Alright, so now I actually have to play the song that we heard when looking into the scrying sphere.
It's the dragon! Oh, he's after us!
don't feel very scary.
See, that's actually a plot point. Probably one that gets overlooked. But just the fact that they're still afraid of the dragon is just indicative of the fact that, you know, the dragon is actually still around.
Hey, you! Get away from here! Now I've got to go and round them all up again. And you'd better not be here when I get back. Go on now.
So we're learning a song here that allows you to put people to sleep as well as wake them up. Although, I mean, in reality, I'm not exactly sure how many people I know that count sheep to fall asleep. God, I hate rhyming my words like that. Anyway, see, this is another example of just, again, art direction and how it can affect the game. Because even using limited graphics, they're able to produce these, you know, portrait-like video game graphics that are just gorgeous to look at, really. And you don't see that too much anymore, and it's a damn shame, really.
Hello there.
Who said that?
I did. My name is Fleece, first chosen of the Guild of Shepherds. I wish we had time to chat a while and trade some tales, but we've got a serious problem on our hands.
What sort of trouble are you having?
It seems we've a dragon nearby who has an enormous appetite for fresh mutton. We breed our sheep for extra whiteness, so we cannot keep them on the meadows. She can spot them miles away. By now, the dragon has carried off so many that we may not be able to fill the cleric's order.
The clerics? I just saw the bishop at the glassmakers.
Bishop Mandible? He placed the order for 10,000 sheep.
10,000 sheep? That's enough to feed an army.
Yes, that had occurred to us too. You noticed our increased patrol in the forest. We'll deliver the sheep to the clerics if we can, but we won't trust them.
I suppose fighting the dragon will be out of the question.
Only a mage can save us.
Alright, so before we leave, we've actually got one more song to learn.
I see you've noticed my little friend.
She doesn't look at all well.
She isn't, and my songs of healing don't seem to be bringing her much comfort. I wish I were better with him.
So now we've learned the healing song. That completes the list that we needed to get. We actually didn't need the sleeping song, if I remember correctly.
The flock is out to pasture. You'll find them there. Go forth, wizard, and may you return safely to our fold.
So we learned, just in the time that we've been on this island, we've learned sleep, awake, invisible, visible, sharpen, dull, frighten, heal, twist, untwist. So that's actually the majority of the songs that you'll have to learn. But now we do know that we have to somehow save these sheep. We have to find a way that'll actually allow us to stand out, and the only way to really do that is if we...
Fleece was right. They really are easy to spot.
If we make these sheep just just a little bit less visible. There you go. And yelling like a madman. I'm not actually sure of anybody that I know that would scream like that.
Well, what have we here? Oh, that's
what comes of being in such a blazing hurry, I guess. I thought you looked a bit scrawny. Why, you'd hardly make a decent kindling.
So now we have just a few things to do before we can move on. First of all, if you rush through this part too quickly, you'll actually miss out on just a bit of the background of Loom's story.
That's quite a bit of gold you have there.
That? Oh, that's nothing compared to what it used to be. Piled floor to ceiling it was. Everyone said it was the most beautiful lair anywhere, and right they were too. Then one day, last spring it was, comes along this third-rate wizard who botched up everything. He tried to get the volcano to blow, but only shook up the place in a huge earthquake instead. Broke all my fancy glass, mind you, and made off with most of the gold, too. The only thing he left me was a gorgeous glass ball.
Alright, so important to note that the glass ball is a scrying sphere, like the one that we saw back at the Emerald City.
Have you no manners, lad? Stop staring at me.
Oh, was I staring? So sorry.
Oh, don't mind me, love. I get rather crotchety on an empty stomach.
Does that mean you're going to incinerate me, then?
Incinerate you? Oh, my, aren't you the foxy one? I haven't created any fire since my last mating season, and you don't want to know how many centuries ago that was. No, that's much too much heat for me these days.
You mean you can't breathe fire?
Can't? Let's just say I won't. Just between you and me, love, the stuff gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Right, so that's actually important, especially your first time through. That's the hint that she has a fear of fire. So we need to find a way to actually set a fire, but all we have is a dragon and some gold. So we'll actually change the nature of the gold here. Remember, one of the first spells that we learned was the Loom spell, the spell that allows you to turn straw into gold and vice versa.
Put it back the way you found it, now.
Well, that's nice. Earned our A note. So we actually have a dragon and some straw now. So that will make sufficient kindling.
Now that looks a lot more comfortable.
I wonder what happens if we talk to her again.
Can't take your eyes off me, can you?
Well, that doesn't work. Well, there's two things we can do here. One of them is to change herself into what she's most afraid of, which is fire. Which, remember, we learned that frightening spell that we used against the shepherds. But this time I'll actually use the sleeping spell.
Sheep. Gold. Sheep. Eek! Fire! You haven't heard the last of me, you cheeky brat!
She actually talks sort of like that beaver from Chronicles of Narnia. Alright, so if we think back to when we were at the Loom Island, we can remember that we learned night vision.
It might help to point at something first.
It just might. I've got this right. Oh, damn it. Try that again.
I guess that...
Alright, so now we can actually walk around without having to be afraid that we're going to stumble anywhere. That's not right. Head back this way. It's a bit like the Mines of Moria, actually, when you think about it. Just these sort of narrow halls and winding stone staircases. I guess you could technically think of Bobbin here as Gandalf if you wanted to, and they're both wearing gray robes as well. The only truly annoying thing about this is that you then end up just sort of wandering around. Now, one of the dangers of any Let's Play is while people will tolerate some downtime, you certainly don't want to have a ton of it, and there's nothing quite like wandering around in a cave to get your viewers scurrying away. I actually have no idea. Alright, I must have wandered off the wrong way. I'm going to try the opposite way. If that doesn't work, then we will... Well, actually, there we go. You know, it's actually... what? I am actually, truly, genuinely a tad bit lost. Good Lord. No, this sort of looks like a door. Or maybe not. Now, when I started doing this Let's Play, I made the purposeful decision to not have music, which I normally do in my Let's Plays that have no music. I didn't want to do that with this one because half the game is listening to musical tones, and there's occasional music and there's quite a bit of talking, but especially because every time you use a spell there's a musical tone, and I didn't want to pollute that with any sort of music that would overwhelm it, really. Unfortunately, during long stretches of downtime, that lack of music can actually work against me. Fortunately, we weren't wandering for too long, and now we're still wandering. Never mind. But we're almost there, I think. See, one of the things about the game is, and actually it's a weakness of all these old games, is sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what's what. So whether it's a door or whether it's just more black cave, it's really hard to differentiate. If this was a Sierra game, we wouldn't be alive right now.
Guess I won't be going back that way.
No, we won't, but we've actually found exactly what we needed, because this, lo and behold,
my own reflection.
That's right, we've actually learned a new spell. But wait, there's more. I think most people would just keep wandering on and try to find their way out at this point, but if you take the time, you can actually empty this pool here. I think this should work. Now, this isn't the most obvious of secrets in the game. And the first time I played Loom, I didn't find this. But what it is that if you pay attention to the different stories in the lore, you realize that the dragon had flown away with the original scrying sphere. So this one is like the one that we looked into in the Emerald City, except it's the original one, and it's much more powerful. So powerful, in fact, that you will never actually see what happens at that volcano. They never put it into the game, because it was supposed to be in a sequel. And once more, it's worth finding because just small hints at the plot.
Bishop Mandible. What in the world is he up to?
But just like the other one, you only get three stairs into it. But before we go, let's reverse our spell. Because personally speaking, I don't want that scrying sphere falling into the hands of evil men. And yes, I am a completionist nerd who will take the time to do that. But don't act like you're not a nerd if you're watching this anyway. Now, the Mines of Moria continue when you have these narrow stone staircases, and we've got this sort of gap that we can't bridge, but we did learn the twisting, untwisting spell, and this staircase is obviously twisted.
Well, that only twisted it tighter.
And again, I am never going to claim that I am the greatest of wizards or musicians, but I at least did manage to open the path. And so we'll continue on. See, just the act of walking, just the act of going from place to place. Oh, see, dragon is still in the game, hasn't gone away, still active in the story. And yeah, just the act of walking between different places and getting to see different things. I mean, that was one of the really great parts of adventure games, is that it let you have an adventure. All right, so we had that sleeping spell. If we reverse it, wait a minute. This may be right. This may be wrong.
Hello there. What's that? Your music woke me up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, not to worry. I'm Rusty Nailbender.
I'm Bobbin Threadbare, of the Weavers.
Weavers, eh? Our folk are blacksmiths. I'm supposed to be getting firewood for the master, but this plateau's been picked cleaner than a new blade. Come over here. That's us down there. The forge. That's what we call it. I've heard you weavers don't get out much. What's your business here?
I've been looking for a flock of swans.
Swans? No swans around here. Oh, say, all this talk has made me sleepy. A real pleasure, though. Oh, let me know if you find your swans. Oh.
Alright, so not exactly too much help. Although we do get this sort of dramatic city.
Oh, who are you?
Just me, a friendly stranger?
This is a private guild, my strange young friend. The gate only opens for members.
It's locked.
You know, I've never actually tried to just cast the open spell. Oh. I'm actually somewhat surprised. Oh. Wow, so seeing even 20 years later, I'm still finding different ways to surprise myself with these old games. Anyway.
He's fast asleep.
This is Rusty, and we've got to...
It might help to point at something first.
use a reflection spell. Alright.
He's fast asleep.
So now, I should be able to actually get inside.
Hello, young nailbender. About time you were coming home. Stoke's been looking for you, and he ain't real happy. You better get in there right now.
Alright. Well, we can move on in. I don't think there's anything to look at here. Now we have this sort of... I don't know, I always found this guild to be a bit disturbing. It's like almost like an S&M sort of vibe going on. And then you have that steady beat. All you need is a little techno going on.
Well, it's about time, you lazy idiot. I sent you out 4 hours ago for firewood, and you bring me back one scrawny stick. If your father weren't the foreman, I'd toss you in the furnace. You're just like the yous downstairs with the bishop right now. If that fire goes out and the cleric's swords don't get done...
I'm sorry, I had a bit of trouble.
Perhaps you'd like to offer your confessions to the bishop in person. I'd be happy to arrange it. Now give me that stick. I'm done dealing with the likes of you, Nailbender. I'll be back, and you'd better hope the furnace doesn't go out.
What a mess. I can't do anything without my distaff.
Of course, in every good adventure game, you always find yourself locked in prison.
It's locked. And me with no distaff.
And in every good adventure game, there's a trick to getting out. And in this case, the trick to getting out is to, well, go to sleep.
That straw looks awfully comfortable, though. Oh, it must have a sleep draft woven into it.
Imagine frightening a poor defenceless old thing like me, Core. Well, I may not be much good with fire, love, but I still enjoy the taste of tender, firm young meat.
One blasted stick of wood left, curse that lad. 10,000 swords to forge, and the furnace is about as cold as my chances for promotion. I don't believe this. Real nice of that Weaver kid. Just wait until his turn comes. I'll be waiting for him on the outside.
Oh.
Oh dear, that means trouble. If Elder Atropos saw his star treaty, so he'd have something to say about it. You could be sure of that. Careful now, old bird. Let's not singe the feathers.
See, now, that's actually really grim. I forgot that we got Rusty Nailbender killed.
No time for another nap. I've got to get out of here.
It's not a true adventure game unless it lets you do whatever you want. Alright, well, we got the distaff back.
It's locked.
So let's cast that open spell. But seriously, Rusty's dead. That's terrible. And I'm pretty sure there's no way to actually free him, alright? I mean, bring him back. That's it. He's done. And again, there's no sequel to this game, so if he's gone, he's gone. Well, he doesn't even exist. He's a video game. See, I told you I'd get worked up about silly
help to point at something
elements
first.
of games like this. Alright, well.
Not a stick left.
Let's at least get the work done before we take off.
Well, that didn't work.
Try backwards then. Alright, well that does that. And we're done. Yeah, is there any point to doing that? No.
Now that's more like it.
Sometimes you just, again, nerdy completionist in me. But we are just about at the end of this section of the game.
The final blade is even now in the hands of our most skilled blade shaper, Your Excellency. How's it coming there, Edgewise?
I'm just putting the edge on the last sword, sir.
Good to hear it. No slacking off now. Let's get it finished.
You share with me a historic moment, Foreman. The forging of the 10,000th sword marks the end of our preparations. How much longer must I wait?
The steel will ring out its final defeat, sir. Not much longer now.
Very good then. Carry on.
Alright, well, remember we learned that sharpening song, so if we play it backwards. Should dull the blade.
What? What evil is this? A witch's curse has twisted the final blade.
A curse, Edgewise? I think not. It would take more than a mere witch's curse to ruin my plans. You there! Could it be that this little prank is of your doing? Yes? Well then, I would be honored to have you as my guest at the cathedral. I know some other curses that may amuse you.
Meanwhile, at LeChuck's fortress. Oh.
I'm getting really tired of this.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Bishop Mandible, trans-ultimate apostle of the anti-secular conclave of clerics.
I know. Am I expected to kneel?
Silence, you impudent punk.
This is my assistant, Cobb.
Charmed, I'm sure.
And you require no introduction. Your cloak and staff betray your origins. But I must say I'm surprised to find you here.
been quite a long time since any weaver bothered to leave that dreary little rock you call home. Loom. So provincial. I can't help but wonder what impelled you to leave it now.
His Excellency asked you a question.
I know. I'm ignoring it.
Ah, recalcitrance. I see.
Shall I fetch the instruments of persuasion, Master?
Please forgive my assistant his eagerness. I fear Cobb is not very worldly. He does not understand the dangerous power of a weaver.
Dangerous? Your Reverence. Him?
Quite dangerous indeed, my dear Cobb. In fact, he could burst this flimsy iron cage open with hardly a second thought.
That's impossible, most exalted one. I inspect the locks personally every fortnight.
Observe and learn, then, for even now your prisoner plans his escape.
And on that note, that is probably as good a point as any to bring this to a conclusion, at least for today. And we will pick it up with the dramatic finale of Loom the next time you tune in. So thanks again for checking this out, and this is Daiichi signing off.